Doing. It is Marlene of Love Marlene 411, and I give the 411 on all things love, the love we have for ourselves, for our spouse or significant other, our friends, siblings, parents. It goes all in all different directions, but every relationship should be loving. So, welcome to the Sip and Chat. I can't wait to get into this week's topic. I think today we are in episode, I want to say this is episode 48, 49. I don't know. We're getting up there. Okay. So, how are you sippers doing? I have to always ask you what you're sipping on here at the Sip and Chat while you listen to me, and my co host, Miss Nexie, should be here very shortly. I can't wait to get into this topic today because I feel very strongly about controlling people. I feel very strongly about people who are jealous, right? So basically, today's conversation is all about boundaries. Hi, Miss Betty. How are you doing today? Happy Thursday. Welcome in. So, the question that I have to ask all of my loved ones: how much control is too much when we're talking about all of the relationships? And we're going to go into them one by one. Hi, Queen Bee. How are you doing? Welcome. Appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. I hope you're doing well. I appreciate you all. If you guys have not already, please hit the like, subscribe, all of those things. So let's get into talking about this today, shall we? So today's topic is: how much control is too much? First, we're going to start talking about series. Basically, they help us to determine what is okay and what is not okay. You were worried? Yeah, I know. In my area of Florida, it's very windy, it's rainy. You I don't know if how long the power on, how I don't know how long this live is gonna go on, but I was just waiting for my Wi-Fi to get connected because the power cuts on, the power cuts off, but it's so important to do these conversations. So welcome to everybody. Welcome to the Sip and Chat. We're going to be talking about control, controlling people. Okay. Do you know some controlling people? And we're going to talk about boundaries, which is something that is very important in this life. Talking about your parent, your child, the workplace, a spouse. All relationships need. First start talking about boundaries are important because of our mental health, right? If your mental health is not in a good space, there's nothing that you can do right. We have to have a good amount of mental health, and it prevents us from burnout, from resentment, from stress, from anxiety, from depression. Hi, Thomas. How are you doing? Welcome. It prevents us from feeling bad about ourselves, from feeling guilty, you know? And the thing about people who are controlling, they'll make you feel like you're the offender. Have you ever been around people who do a lot of um controlling, manipulation, people who are narcissistic? We're um That's not acceptable. We're not doing that today. And I see my co-host, Miss Nexie. Let's add her to the show. Welcome, Miss Nexie.
Hello, Miss Marlene.
Hi. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How is everybody today?
Doing awesome. Well, for right now, I can't say I am awesome.
Yes.
It is
That's why I said how's everyone today. Because I just saw it in the news. I was like, ooh, Miss Marlene has been blown away. That's it. What she always wanted it to be blown away in love.
well, it is what it is. I'm not,
It sure
I'm
is.
not what, I'm not a person that is really get, I'm not an excitable person. I'm very chill. So it is
Yeah,
what it is.
let it blow
Okay.
away.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah. Okay. So how are you doing today, Miss Nexie?
Oh, after a few surprises, I'm doing good. I'm doing good, Miss Marlene. Thank you for asking.
Awesome.
How are you? How's everyone at home? How's everyone in chat? Hope all of you are well. Are you
I
back,
think
Miss
it's
Marlene?
back.
Oh, that Wi
Yeah.
Fi is going to be going crazy.
I turned it off. Turned off my Wi-Fi. I was like, "We're not doing this today." I just switched to my cellular data. I was like, no, we're not doing this today."
But it's going to
So,
be as bad because of the winds. So, regardless
yeah,
of what you use.
it doesn't matter because things are going on outside, but it's okay. We're gonna push through it as much as we can. Okay.
Okay.
So, okay, Miss Nexty. So we were talking about the title today. How much
Oh,
control is too much?
yep. I saw
Hmm.
that. And I was
Yeah.
thinking, I, have been married forever.
Hmm.
And the one thing it's funny because I have heard men or women complain of too much, jealousy, right? You're too jealous,
Hmm.
you're too controlling, you're too this, you're too that. For me, the person used to complain about the opposite because I'm not a jealous type of person. I'm not someone that has to keep you, at arm's length or a blink away, as they say, right? I'm the type of person that if you tell me, hey, I'm going to be gone for 3 days, okay, for
Yeah,
work,
it's cool.
okay, I'll see you later. Take care and let me know if anything happens. Just you make sure you let me know. And that's it. I'm not questioning. So I was always like,
Okay.
we care of over
Yeah, we're,
jealous,
we're, we're, we're
always
too
wanting
we're being we're being too, like, oh, they're trying to trap me, that
yeah.
they're trying to hold me down.
Oh,
And then when you're like, okay,
exactly.
and then when you're like, go
Oh, so
do
you
your
don't care.
thing, oh, they don't care nothing about
Yeah.
me. It's like, which one do you want?
You want the monster to come out. No, and again, it's something that I have always, I have never been the type to be jealous of anyone like that. I mean, of course, I don't have that much of experience, but I think that in my years, as young as I am, because I turned, what did I turn this year? 35. Yeah,
Oh,
I
I was
turned
gonna say you
35
turned
again.
21 again, but okay, all right,
No, that was getting old because my children are older, so now I have to be 35 anyway.
okay,
So as old as I am, I don't think I will ever develop that if it's something that you develop. But the thing here is the balance. Where do you get that balance? And for me,
yeah,
I I like peace of mind. I like to be in control of me. I cannot control people, everybody else around me. So as long
Yeah.
as I'm okay, what you do out of my sight, it's on you. You're the one who's going to be feeling guilty about whatever it is that you're doing if you're lying. You're the one that is going to be working on all those emotions while I'm at home, sitting peacefully with my children, enjoying my life. So it was never something that I had to have that control over the whole
Right.
situation. And I'm like that in life too. I'm very chill too, Marlene. I don't have to have control of everything. And I have
Yeah.
learned that trying to makes you miserable. And I don't understand how people do it.
Mhm.
And I'm
Yeah.
not trying to
But you
step on
know,
anybody's toes.
right, Miss Nexie, me, you, I think that's why we get along so much because I learned that a controlling, like, I come from that. I
Mm,
come from, like, I used to be a jealous person with my friends and other people because of my abandonment issues.
mm-hmm.
And when you're abandoned, it's not that I'm trying to be controlling or jealous, but I'm just like, don't leave me.
Yeah.
Like
You,
I'm just like I'm used to people like leaving my life. That when I finally have somebody, like I think I probably hold on too tight. And I had to learn like let them breathe, Marlene. Let them breathe. Let them breathe. Let them chill out. They'll come back. If they care about you, they'll come back. And I have to be like, okay, all right, I'll let them go. I'll let them go.
and you know, sometimes I
But it's
feel
something
that,
I had to learn.
yeah, that's what I was about to say, Miss Marlene. I'm sorry to overstepped on what you were saying, but I was gonna say, you know, it's something you have to learn, something that you have to work on for you, not for anybody else. It's, you have to
For
work
me.
on that abandonment feeling or whatever it is that makes you feel the abandonment. I'm sorry, whatever that
Mhm.
makes you feel, you have to work on that for you, not for anybody
Yeah.
else. But what the one thing I always took, for me, it was kind of weird that people want to have all this control, but if you turn it
Mhm.
around and try to do
Exactly.
the same to them, they get very upset. Oh, now you're trying to control me.
Yes.
Now you want to tell me what who I can and cannot see, and
It's
so
very interesting, isn't it?
yes, yes, it is. For me, it was like I said, it was always about my dad was very peaceful. And I think that's
Mhm.
why I am the way me and my siblings are the way that we are. My dad was very mellow, very peaceful. He wasn't a control freak. He wasn't someone that was over jealous or, you know, it was never like that. So I feel that that's why we have learned. And also, you know, I was very young when my mom left. So I feel that I had to control that emotion. You know, that
Mm.
abandonment issue, I learned to control that and not allow it to affect me, I guess, in
Mhm.
a way. Although, remember, Marlene, Miss Marlene, I said to my therapist, it didn't affect me at all.
Oh, it
I'm
didn't
cool.
affect you. Okay.
No, it didn't.
Wow.
It
Well,
did not.
everybody's not as perfect as Miss Nexie, but
Nope,
I was
nobody can
affected.
be perfect as I am, and you know, though you have a hard time believing, but this perfection is not easy
I
to
know,
come
I
to
know.
come by. And you know, the thing is, when you try to control everything around you, you stop living because your life revolves around all of that. And I don't feel, to me, it doesn't feel like one person deserves all that attention. And if it does, to be me. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like I have to protect, I have to take care of me. So being overbearing and over controlling and everything like that, it takes a lot out of your life.
It
It
does.
takes a lot. You know,
Well,
you don't focus on you because you're so over focused on somebody else. And I have friends that, you know, well, I'm not friends because I cannot call them friends. I used to, but I have learned through
Mhm.
years of friendships and life, that not everybody's a friend. They're
Right.
acquaintances, right? So I've had acquaintances that if I had been in the living room, invited to a play date, and their husbands come home and I'm in the living room talking to them while the kids are playing, they get jealous. And
Mhm.
they'll be like, "Oh, what are you guys talking about? Oh, I didn't know you guys were friends." And I'm like, he's your husband. He came
Mhm.
and said hi to me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, kind of
Mhm.
weird vibe like
Yeah.
that. So,
I've gotten that sort of energy sometimes from certain friends, like, just like I show up to certain occasions, say like it's a party or something, and I'll be with my friends, and if I show up to the party, and then they want their boyfriend or husband comes and rushes over because they want to
mm,
know who I am, what you're
hmm,
talking about, what do I do for a living. They want to know all of these things about me, you know. And for me, that's an automatic red flag when you just meet somebody and they want to know personal things about you. I'm like, I think that's a little personal, don't you think?
yeah, mm,
Yeah,
it, it,
I don't know you that much. Step
yeah,
back a little bit.
yeah. It's funny because I have had those. I had a friend who couldn't go. I think I have told you this before. Who
Hmm.
everywhere we went, Miss Marlene, she had to be informing her significant other where we were at,
Hmm. I
and
remember that.
it like she couldn't, like, certain topics, certain things were, we couldn't talk about because she'll be like, "Oh, no, no, I cannot talk about that right now." I'll be like, "What?" And so
Mhm.
this guy will show up sometimes in the middle of our meal, and I'll be like,
Mhm.
"What do you, how do you what do you know what I mean?" Like, all confused
Like how did
because,
first of all, how did they know we were here?
yeah. And then that's when I started learning that she will send, pictures of the food and pictures of the place and the location. And I told her, I said, "Don't do that. Please don't do that. It makes me very uncomfortable. I don't like people knowing you sharing my location." And sometimes she will do it on a certain, social media platform. So and so are here right now, and I said, don't tag me on that. Don't add my name to that. I really don't appreciate that. I don't like that.
Hmm.
And I get it. Some people have to have all the control, but when you allow somebody else to control you to that
Hmm.
point, it's not going to end well.
Yeah. And one thing that I've learned, just like in talking, for me, talking about the subject about control naturally matches with starting to talk about boundaries. And
Mm,
I was talking about that a little bit. And when it comes to every relationship that you ever have, boundaries are necessary. If you don't have boundaries with friends, parents, children, workplace, your business, spouse, significant other, every relationship, even social media, you have to have a limit and tell
mhm.
people this is as far as you're going to go with me, or this is as far as I'm going to go with you. And I want to talk a little bit about why these boundaries are important. I talked a little bit about the mental health part because if we don't set boundaries with people, it will start to affect our mental health, and it's going to prevent us from, when we set the boundaries, it prevents us from burnout and resentment and stress and anxiety and depression. But also, when you have somebody who is controlling and they get you into that zone to not even think about yourself anymore. They get you to only think about them, like they're the only person that is important. They're the only person that is valid.
Mm.
Mm, and
Yeah,
that's
and
not good.
that is not good. And you know what? I know you have noticed I've taken a step back from social
Mhm.
media
I noticed. Hmm.
because, um, all the information, all the things that I was following, they were important to me. They are important to me, but
Hmm.
it was so much. It was overloading. I was doing things outside of that to overprotect. That little somebody that you know who he is.
Hmm.
And I was so freaked out. It's like, where is he at? I cannot do this. Like, I have to protect. Like, I have to. It was extending beyond just the trial, or what was going on. I was pretty much reflecting on him, everything that was happening. Of
Mhm.
course, it didn't help that he shares a birthday and a condition with that little one. But still, I was overdoing it because I was so wrapped up on it. And I said, you know what? I need to take a step back, and I need to relax my mind from overload, because it's like a computer. You
Yes.
put things. It's like your phone. The memory, sometimes you remember, used to be completely full from all of the things that we
Yeah.
pictures and tags and this, and you had to clear up. So that's what I had to do. I had to step back and allow my mind to desensitize from everything,
Mhm.
work on my own. And I have stayed away from social media. Of course, I still watch your clips. I still watch what you do, and I come here with you. But other than that, I'm not, because there were other sites that were putting certain lists and or certain things, and it was affecting me, because now I'm thinking, is it in my area? Oh my God, it's going on everywhere.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean?
Is
And
this
we
going to
work with
happen to me?
children.
Is it coming to me? It
Yeah,
starts to stir up your anxiety.
yeah. And then
Yeah.
at work, we work with little ones, so I'm thinking, is it going on with this little one? What if, you know what I mean? Like, so it was extending way above and beyond. So i have
Mhm.
i have had to take a step back, read more, relax. I don't watch news, and this is the reason why, because they get to me and I get super worried like that. So I'm like, I don't watch them, just the highlights I read, and that's it,
Mhm.
because
That's
everything else.
important.
So sometimes, the same way we do with social media and everything, sometimes it's good to take a step back from friendships. And I don't mean
Mhm.
best friends, I don't mean that. I mean, acquaintances that
Right.
and sometimes they make you feel a certain type of way, or take a step
Ma-
back,
they kind
analyze.
they kind of and I get what you mean, Miss Nexie. When it comes to social media, it's not everybody, but it's certain people. In the
Hmm.
beginning, you will be supportive of them and doing all of these things, helping them, and then one day you're like, why am I supporting this when it's not something that is going to be good? It's not good for my mental health. Like,
Yeah,
it's something very negative and it kind of triggers you. So I'm like, what are you doing? So it is about reevaluating. And while we try to be nice and kind and supportive of other people, we have to think about our mental health. That's one of the
yeah,
first things that I wanted to talk about when we're talking about boundaries and control. We have to think
exactly.
about
There
our
you
mental
go.
health.
Yes,
Mhm.
that, which is why I said this, that it triggers me in a certain way. And I know me. That's the beautiful thing about therapy and everything. I know my triggers. I know my limits, and I know the boundaries I have to put around, so that I can come back to me, because sometimes you get lost in the whole
Mhm.
support thing, right?
Yes.
And I get it. Like, sometimes those places that trigger me, I love the people that do this, because I know
Yeah.
why they're doing it. So what I do is I turn it on and I put it on silent mode,
Hmm.
because I want to be there. I want them to get the watch hours. I want them to do all of this, but I cannot be listening to everything that's happening, because then I start projecting on everybody else. And I'm a person that likes to protect, right?
Hmm.
So now I'm looking at so and so's dad. Is it going on there?
Hmm.
Is the mom abusing them? So you know what I mean? Like, you have to make sure that your mental health is not triggered by certain things,
Yeah.
because if you don't do that for yourself, then who will? You have
No.
to make sure those boundaries are important, like you said, Miss Marlene. They're very important, because they will keep you healthy. They will keep you with
Yes.
a healthy mind. Because what I noticed too, Miss Marlene, is like, when I'm triggered like that in overload, I start overeating from, like,
Mhm.
anxiety. I get snacks in the middle of the night, something that I never did before. I will get up and say, God, I'm hungry. And I get this anxiety eating frenzy, and I've
Mhm.
never done that before. So I started
Hmm.
noticing that I was eating in the middle of the night, and I'm like, what am I doing? Why am I eating so late? And it was all of that, all of the overload. I couldn't sleep. I would stay up super late thinking about what was going on. And oh, so and so is at this hour, and so is at this hour, and I have to go. And I'm like, what am I doing? I can't do this. So,
Yeah,
and plus work and family. So we sometimes need those boundaries to make sure that
yeah.
we are healthy overall, because it doesn't just affect your mind, it affects your entire body.
It does. So I'm glad you were mentioning that, Miss Nexty, because next up on this list and talking about controlling people and boundaries, we have to think about how a controlling person affects our self-esteem. And I
Mm.
can't speak for everybody, but when I'm around somebody that's very controlling and demanding and asking so much questions, it makes my self-esteem go down, and that's something that I can never let happen again. Miss Nexie knows, and a lot of people know who have been watching me for a while, some things that happened to me in my life. I came from not being supported and not that I wasn't loved, but I wasn't loved in the way that I should be, conversating and talking about things, communication, positive reinforcements. Sometimes the people who are very controlling, they don't know how to give us what we need, and
Mm-hmm.
that's something that now that I possess it, I can't diminish it. I can't go backwards, because I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying to move forward. And certain individuals will cause you to go in reverse and go backwards. And I found that around certain individuals that I've started to find myself going back, like, oh, I just want to I just want to slap them. And I'm like, what did you just say? Like, I mean, because they do things that irritate you so much that you're just triggered to want to do something to them,
Yep.
or you go backwards and you find yourself saying words that you don't say, like, I stopped a long time ago using profanity, but certain people
They
dealing
ask
with
for it.
them.
They bring it out.
And I said, no, no, no. If a person causes me to go backwards or to switch my behavior or my personality in a way that's not conducive to my personal growth, my peace, and my happiness, or I start noticing they make me feel bad about myself, like being around them. Oh, you can't be as good as me, and I'm the best. Like, I'm the best thing since sliced bread. Like some people, being around them makes
Uh,
you
uh,
feel
uh, uh,
like you're like a
Nobody.
speck.
Nobody's better than
Yeah.
sliced bread. Nobody. Okay. And I love bread. Nobody's better than sliced bread. Not even me. And I'm perfect. And Miss Marlene, I'm not really like I said, I don't really use profanity. Sometimes I do. When you stub your
Yeah.
toe or something like that, or there's a reaction, you're like, oh shih tzu.
Hmm.
But I really don't. And it triggers me because I have traumas with profanity. I
Yes.
have someone in my life that uses language that shouldn't come out of a lady's mouth. But so that
Hmm.
triggers me. So when people start using a lot of profanity, which I feel that it's always I feel that the message gets to the other person better when you don't use any profanity, or you
Hmm.
don't yell, or you don't scream from the top of your lungs.
Hmm.
I receive your message better when you tell me calmly what's going on. When you tell me
Hmm.
when you tell me off without using one single word of profanity. That hits me more than if you would have called me every name in the book.
Hmm.
So for me, because it triggers me, I stay away from people like that. Because there's people that every other sentence,
Hmm.
it's a profanity word. You know what I mean? It's they cannot speak without using it.
Yeah.
And so I stay away from that because it triggers me. I go back to a place where I don't like to be. And I
Right.
work really hard on me, on my mental health, like to go there again.
Right. I understand understand completely what you're saying. And realist one is saying something in the chat that's I think that is appropriate because he says, I definitely use profanity. And I said, realist, it depends on the situation. I feel that there is a time to be, kind and nice and sweet. And there is a time where I'm gonna have to check you. I think there's a time where you do the nice and the sweet and you do the soft response, and then there's the time where I turn into attack mode. Like you're gonna have to back up, okay? Or I'm gonna snap on you. There's times for everything. There's a moment. There's a time to be, oh, okay. Oh, that's nice. And then there's a time you better back up.
I'm gonna catch you. I'm
Yeah.
gonna bite you like a fish. No,
There's a
and we all
time
use
for
it.
everything under the
Yeah,
sun.
we all, and this is what I tell people is that it's not that we don't know how to get there, how to be that. It's just that we strive not to go there. We work
That's it.
really hard not to act that way because for me, like I said, when somebody's yelling at me from the top of their lungs, using every word, bad word in the book, I do not hear the message.
Yep, I shut down.
It doesn't do anything.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
exactly.
shut
I'm
down
in
just like a
shutdown mode.
robot. I was like, la 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 la. I hear nothing you're saying. La la la
Exactly. And it does nothing for you, and the message doesn't get delivered.
la.
And I
Hmm.
get that, but you know what surprises me a lot too is that sometimes they do things like that on social media, and it's a platform that sometimes children go to,
Hmm.
and they use certain words that they shouldn't be used.
Yep.
There's no need for that. I get it. Some people have, you know, I don't know.
Well,
They
I
have
well
a way of
I think
expression.
it's dependent on the situation because there's certain things that when I express certain things that I went through in my life, like abuse and stuff. There's
Hmm.
some things that there is only a few words to express that, and they are
Yes,
not
ma'am.
nice and
And I
sweet.
use them too.
There are certain. So while I agree with you, Miss Nexie, I try to be on the up and up. I use my vocabulary. I use my thesaurus, my dictionary, because that's the sort of person that my father raised. My father was a teacher, and
Oh.
he raised me to use my vocabulary because if I didn't, I was going to have to write a 3,000-page word on how to enunciate and use my verbiage. And I was like, oh my God, here we go again. So that's the reason why I am the way that I am. And what people don't understand, when people see me and they hear my sweetness and niceness, don't don't,
Don't let this beautiful
don't get it
face and this sweet
twisted.
voice fool you.
Because my whole family will tell you, it's like, please, everyone's like, please leave the tornado alone, please. I was like, do not stir up the anthill, okay? Because while I can be nice and kind, when I try not to let myself get there, but I'm a type of person that when I go on 10, I can't come down.
Yeah,
I
everything goes
can't
black.
come down from 10. And I don't like to make myself go there because I don't like myself when I'm on 10. I don't do
Yeah.
good things when I'm on 10. I'm not thinking properly, and I'm just writing on emotions. I'm writing on anger, and I try my best to be in control now. In this subject talking about control, I try my best to not allow other people to control me. I try to
Hmm.
keep my head level and cool. When I find that somebody is taking me to a level of they're disrespecting me, they're calling me out my name or whatever the case may be, those are the times where okay, it's time for me to go because I see respect is not there. But trust and believe I'm going to check them before I go. But I'm not going to continue to stay places where I am not respected.
Yeah, again, this is the thing before, and I remember growing up, and I get it. You have to have respect for your elders, right? And And the
Miss
thing that they
Nexty, I don't
didn't
know
teach
about that
you,
one.
no, the thing that they
I'm
didn't
not in
teach you.
agreement with that one, Miss Nexty. I'll
Oh
let
no,
you
no,
finish,
I'm
but I'm
saying
just saying I don't agree with it, respecting elders 100% of the time.
no, 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 no. That's where I was going with this. Is that we
Okay.
grew up in an era where respect for the elders, respect for the elders. You have to have respect for the elders. And I used to remember questioning, but why don't the elders have respect for us?
Hmm.
Why don't they respect us? Oh, well, you children, it doesn't matter. Why did she talk
Hmm.
to me like that? I would tell my dad, I would have not overreacted or reacted like that. She would have not talked to me that
Hmm.
way. But she's your elder. Yeah, but and
Hmm.
so my father one day said, there's one thing I've been wanting to say to you children, and for a very long time. And is that, I have learned that respect is earned. It's not just
Hmm.
given because that person is your elder. And it took for him to have, I guess, something with someone older than him to go to that point. And he said, you know what, you guys are right. It's supposed to be earned. But coming from that and having to switch around, it was to me, it was a very nice learning experience.
Hmm.
Seeing my dad come from, because he was born in the 1930s, right?
Yeah. My parents too.
So yeah, so they came from a kids are supposed to be seen, not heard. You're supposed to bow down to every elder, no matter what they say to you. You're just supposed to take it and you know not talk back, not disrespect. You know what
Hmm.
I mean? Like no matter how disrespectful they were to you. But coming from an upbringing like that, for him to say, you know what, no, it's supposed to be earned.
Hmm.
If they don't respect you, you don't have to disrespect them, but you respectfully can say, hey, stop.
Yeah. Yeah,
You're
like
being rude.
one thing that I can say, I appreciate my father for that, because my dad did always say that's how he grew up, but he did also say at the same time a lot of times some adults, they are very abusive in their
Hmm.
language, in their treatment of others.
Yes.
So my dad did understand, because I used to always be like, Dad, I will respect them when they respect me. He'd be like, no, 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 that's your elder. I was like, no, no, no. I was like, if they cut like things that I don't like, when people use very demeaning words, like,
Mm.
calling kids ugly, and come here, you little punk. Come here, you little this. And I used to have people in my relatives that that's how they used to call us. Get over here, you little punk.
Hmm.
Get over here, you little this. And I would be looking at them like, who you think you're talking to? And they'd be like, who you think you're talking to? Who you think you're talking? And they said, oh, Lord, my brothers would grab me, like, because I would run
Let's go. Yeah.
my little self. I was about to punch him right in their stomach, because I was like, Marlene, don't play. I don't care. Even when I was the size of a little ant, I've always been very fiery. Like, don't come at me sideways. I'm like, what? Who you think? What? I was like, oh, you right? You want some? And my dad would be like, Lord have mercy, my youngest child. But that's just the way it is for me. And I think that this is a very good topic, and talking about control and everything, that I grew up in situations where I never had control.
Hmm.
There's things that you were forced to do, whether you wanted to do, you had to grin and bear it and not like it. And I don't put myself in situations like that. I don't allow situations like that for my family right now and at the moment. There's a lot of things that is very abusive conversation, abusive behavior, communication, and disrespect. And I like to show the younger generation now, when it happens to you, I don't care who it is, do not let people run over you. I don't care. And I even tell them, even if it's me, even if it's coming from me,
Mm.
don't let anybody disrespect you. And that's something that I'm proud of, that I've learned and I've grown. And the next generation doesn't have to be run over, have self-esteem issues, feel like, oh, I'm the problem, and trying to walk on eggshells with other people. You don't have to do that. You don't have to do that.
Yeah. You have to be you, and that's the thing. Again, we've voiced it here before that. Adulthood is what you know work on
Mhm.
yourself. When you're a child, you
Exactly.
have no control. You're controlled by your parents, you're controlled by your surroundings because you're a
Yep.
child. But as you get older, I feel that if things bother you, there is ways for you to voice that. And you shouldn't feel
Yes.
bad about it because it bothers you. It doesn't matter how mom or dad or aunt
How
or
it makes
it
them
doesn't matter.
feel.
You don't have to disrespect them. You can put them in their place with beautiful words. We have so many to use from. You don't have
Hmm.
to be belligerent. You don't have to be
Yep.
cross, disrespectful. You just have to be to the point and make sure that you tell them you do not use that tone with me again. You don't use
Mhm.
those words with me again, ever. And
Yep.
that's it. And
Yep.
and
And
we
that
try to overcome.
and,
Go
and
ahead, Miss
that's
Marlene.
and that's what I was talking about, Miss Nexie, as well. That I think that it's important for parents, grandparents, aunties, and uncles to raise this younger generation. That yes, well, I do agree with when somebody is older. Yes, give people respect, but not when they're disrespectful, rude. If they're doing something that makes you feel uncomfortable, by all means, I tell all the time, throw that out the window. Don't think you have to listen to people because they're being over, overbearing, controlling, disrespectful. No, no, I tell them, I said, anytime somebody is making you feel less than, now you have the right to protect yourself.
Hmm. Exactly.
Mhm.
And again, all this, we have to take care of our health first, our mental health. Our body and mind, they go together. We have to
Mhm.
be okay with us first so that we can help everybody else around us. Because if we're not okay, then we're not going to be any help to anyone. If
Yep.
anything, we can probably cause more harm. So we have to make sure that we are in the right place, in the right state of mind. And for me, is you know I have allowed some people to get me to a place of sometimes depression
Mhm.
or sadness or whatever. But I took my power back and I said, no,
I'm
I'm not
so
going to
glad to
allow
hear
that.
that.
I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're my child. I don't care if you're my spouse, my partner, my
Mhm.
ex, whoever. I'm not going to allow that to happen.
Ever.
So my focus now it's me and the one person that depends on me being in the best state of mind, in the healthiest body, because he depends on me wholeheartedly, right? He has no
Mhm.
choice but to depend on me. So I have to make sure that I am okay. And if I, going to visit you or allowing you in my life affects my cool, calm, and collected, then I'm not going to allow you to.
Mhm. I like that. I like that.
Respect is earned, and so I have learned. It's a matter of fact, this whole year, Marlene, it's been about me.
I like
This
that.
whole entire year, and we're already what, almost in October. It has been about me, my mental
Yep.
health, my body health, me.
That.
And the only reason why I did that is because in the beginning of the year something happened that I didn't appreciate. And I started thinking, why am I here dealing with you to this point when it's not doing anything good for me? What am I getting from you? Nothing
Mhm.
but disrespect or, taking advantage of my kindness. So that stops here. And it did.
Yeah.
And it did. And I'm happy because I
Yay.
feel happier myself. I have the
I'm glad to hear
boundaries
that.
have been set. And it's all thanks to you, my Marlene, listening to
Oh, it's not thanks to you. You got your what would they say?
I got my groove back.
You got your groove back. You got your cojones.
I got my cojones back. Yes, I did.
It's
It,
like it's just you feel so good. You feel so empowered when you're like, I'm not
yes.
taking no mess no more.
You
It
know,
feels
I've been,
good.
the way I looked at it, Miss Marlene, is like, okay, I've been in this point. I have been in your life at this point for 30 years.
Hmm.
and you still behaving the same way, you know what? Nope,
Yep.
I'm
That means
done.
that means
You're not my
they will
problem
never
anymore.
change.
Exactly. And you're not my problem anymore. You're not my responsibility. You're not
Mhm.
my charge. I'm not your charge. We're done. We're
Yep.
done. And I know that a lot of people may criticize this because, they say that it's a parent, right? You're
Mhm.
supposed to always be there for your children.
Mm.
For me,
Careful, careful.
it's remove, yeah, move your house. No, as a parent, you also have to remember that before you became a parent, you were a person. You were
Yes,
an
you're still a human
individual.
being. Yes.
You were a human. So for me, is I am not gonna allow you
Uh-oh. Is that me
that they
buffering?
were, but
Okay.
the fact that sometimes because you are the parent, they take advantage of your kindness,
Mhm.
or they know that you're not gonna go there with them because
Yeah,
you love them.
because your mom or dad or auntie or grandma or you're in that
Yeah.
parental role. So, in talking about boundaries with children, let's talk about this for a moment. Um, it's a very interesting role to be in because I always said I was never going to be the parent to be like I'm going to be like, oh yeah, it's all about fun. And I said, when I get older, I'm never going to tell my kid they can't do it. If they want to have fun, if they want to jump up in the bed, they want to stay up all night dancing. I'm going to be right. I said, I'm going to be right there with them, like you're dancing, I'm dancing. Best time ever. I said, I'm going to be that mom until reality sets in and kids have to go to school in the morning. You have to go to work. Then it's like
You have to get up.
um okay, what had happened was I know I had said, but let me edit my previous statement.
Oh. Let me take those words back. Let me take everything I said when I was younger
Let me have a little bit of some humble pie. Let me check my ego.
back. I'm gonna be that cool parent, right?
Yes, that's why Miss Nexie, I always said that. I said, I'm never going to be like, no, everything's going to be like, you want to do it? Yeah, go ahead. Yes, yes to everything. And then I'm like, the first time I'm like, no, you can't. And I was like, oh, oh, oh. I said,
Oh no, no, no. Oh no, look, look. Check this one out. I am not gonna be like my parents. I'm not gonna
no,
be
I'm
like
never
like
going to be. I said, I'll never be like my
I'm
mother.
gonna allow my
Never.
kids to date anytime they want to. Oh yeah, they can go. I'm gonna allow them to until I like this boy. Why? Why do you like? No, you're not going with them. No, you're too young. And then you start realizing that when they were stopping you from certain things, it was because they knew that you didn't
They
have the right
knew.
age.
And they knew
But
you
of
weren't ready
course,
for certain things.
but I was not gonna be that parent. I was gonna allow
Mhm.
everything, partying
Interesting.
and having fun
Yeah.
too. You want to go out at 15? Sure. I was gonna be like, I'm not gonna stop them from growing
Yeah, I was
until
like,
they hit
I'm not gonna
15.
stop them from living their best life. I'm gonna be like, you want to party? Go and party. Enjoy yourself.
Until
Now
I
it's like, you're not going to a party until you're at least 30 years old.
well, I
Believe
would say
that.
if you want to be that liberal, go ahead. I said 50 of mine, but if you want to be a liberal mother, go ahead and let him go at 30. Okay. If you want to corrupt them, go ahead, Miss Marlene. But again, you don't. But there's ways, and this is I think that's why we acted the way we did, Miss Marlene, is because our our parents they didn't express well what the reason why we couldn't do certain things,
There was no
right?
communication.
No communication whatsoever. There was no, honey, because you're too young. If this happens, blah, 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 blah. They never did. It was just no means no. And you're like, but why doesn't mean no? I'm
Mhm.
the one who wants to go. I'm the one who's not going out dancing because you say no and there's no explanation.
Mhm. And then it
And
was like, because I remember that feeling, Miss Nexty, when I was young, and they'd be like, no. And then you feel like your world is falling apart. Like, why do they hate me like this? And then when it gets to be your turn, when you're on the side of Now you're responsible for somebody and you know what could happen. And now it's like, oh, this is how it feels.
But
Oh,
you sit down with them and explain to them
yeah,
why
but you
you're not
talk
letting
through
them do it.
things. And
Exactly.
and the thing that is different, I can say, I can't speak for everybody, but the thing that is different that I want for more people to do is when they have children, your grandchildren, your nieces, nephews, because anybody you're responsible for, any child, that we also listen to them, let them express
Yes.
themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Because that was something like before, like never in my life as a child could I express how I was feeling. My mother said, "Do you think I care how you feel?"
Oh,
Yeah.
that is so painful.
I grew up in that age where parents didn't really care about how you felt, and that hurt a lot because it, for me, I was like, it didn't make any sense in having, and I can say it, I had a controlling mother.
Mm.
And what it was is that they were just protecting, but because they're not telling you the reason behind, all you
You
see
resent them.
is all you see is rejection, abandonment, hatred, like.
Mm-hmm.
And then because somebody keeps telling you no all the time and they never tell you yes, and they're never supportive and explain, well, I don't want you to have this to happen to you because this happened to me. There's no
Mm-hmm.
explanation, no nothing. So of course, a child is going to buck under that and going to do what they want to do. And
I have never, ever done anything wrong. As perfect as I am. Okay, so let me
wow.
tell you this one time, my dad said I couldn't go to this dance, right? And
Uh-oh.
my friends and I, we had been planning, but I don't remember what had happened. I think I was grounded or something. I did something.
Ooh,
But my
that
dad
doesn't
said,
sound perfect to me.
you can't. Well, somebody else, my twin did it, and they blame me. You know how it goes when our twin does it, and they blame you. You're so the other me did it, right? And I didn't. Oh, I know what it was. He had asked me to clean the backyard, and because he was gonna plant some trees or something, I was supposed to kind of clean it up, get it ready for it because he was gonna go get the trees and then just come over and do it. He asked me for a favor. He didn't say you have to do it, but I didn't. Of course, I went out. I started
Mhm.
playing, whatever. I forgot. And so my dad said, he said, okay, that's fine, I'll do it. So when the time came for the dance, and I said, Dad, remember I told you we were gonna go to the dance? He goes, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot, but you cannot go. What do you mean I can't go? I told you about 3 months ago that we're gonna have this dance, and he said, yeah, but I forgot about it. And I was like,
Just
how
like
can
you
you forget?
forgot.
How can you forget such a party? Anyways, he said no. So smart little me leaves the front. We had a door like a farm door that opened on both sides. Like you can open the top and leave the bottom closed. Like a yeah.
Yep.
So what I did,
So you could go through the
yeah.
window.
So what I did is I unlocked the top part so that I could jump over. Because the bottom part, if you left it unlocked, it would open.
Uh-oh.
Oh, I thought it was sleek. I got out quietly. My friend had my outfit. I went to my friend's house. This around 9:30, 10 o'clock, and we go to the party. Oh my God, Marlene. I was having the time of my life when I see my dad in the door, in the door
Wow.
frame, just looking at me, and my world came crashing down. And he just looked at me. He said nothing. He just looked at me. And I don't know, my friend is like, are you okay? I said, I think I have to go. And my dad said, oh,
Miss
okay. So
Nexie,
you,
I don't know if it's me. I don't know if it's me, but it seems like you're sounding very robot.
I think it's my internet
Is it
too,
me?
Marlene. No, I think it's probably my Wi Fi. I think it's probably that.
Is
Can
it
you?
is it me, guys? Let me know if it's just me, because I hear Miss Nexie like a robot. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Continue on if it's just me. I apologize.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It might be my internet too, Miss Marlene, because it was acting up earlier.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Well,
what I wanted to say
while
is,
you're while you're pausing for a moment, I do want to talk about, the subject today is talking about how much control is too much. I do want to put in here talking about healthy relationships. And Aurilla says he hears y'all, so it's me. I apologize, everybody. Um,
yeah, it couldn't be me. I'm perfect.
of course, it's not you. You're perfect. It's always going to be me. So, um, in talking about healthy relationships, that's very important to talk about for today's discussion. We want to highlight healthy relationships, all relationships in our life to be healthy. And to do that, we have to have boundaries because
Mm,
boundaries help people to establish and maintain a set of healthy dealings with one another. I was like,
mhm.
oh, a healthy set of dealings with one another. So that means that a lot of times we can have unhealthy dealings with others, toxic dealings with others. And this is something that is important in talking about how much control is too much. It's important to talk about boundaries when it comes to safety.
Mhm.
Mm.
Yes,
when we
ma'am.
when we don't have boundaries, there's a lot of people that are slick, are sly, are mischievous, are evil, and they'll find a way to harm you physically. And maybe it may get to the where they're putting their hands on you, or it may get to the point where somebody will try to unalive you. It's very
Miss
serious. It's
Miss
very serious.
Marlene,
It's not a game.
also remember, if we don't have boundaries, or if we don't adhere to them, regardless of whose boundaries they are, right? Parents or whatever, we can put others in danger because of our lack of boundaries.
Mm.
And that's the one thing that, sometimes it takes a minute or two to learn. And I was bringing up this dance thing because I was acting erratical, no boundaries. I broke every boundary my father had, and I got my friend in trouble, the
Mm.
one that helped me, because now her mother was gonna know that she was holding this and everything, and she helped me around. So when we do not adhere to those boundaries around, or we have none to speak of, it may not be us who gets in trouble or unalive. It may be a friend that you put in that situation because
Mhm.
you have no boundaries. So it
Or,
doesn't just affect you.
and with that too, sometimes in situations like when we get a person who is very negative and controlling and jealous, it brings a lot of worry to parents, to siblings, to our relatives, to our friends, for to anybody who loves us. Because let me tell you something, being a person that I have been in a relationship with somebody who's very jealous and controlling, to see the expression on your family's face, on people who love you. And it's not that you don't want to get out, but I kind of felt like I was trapped. Like you're trapped
Hmm.
in this jail. So like, somebody help me get out of this. Like, I want out, but you don't know how to get out. You're with somebody who will never help you to get out because they're jealous, they're watching you, they're looking at you. Who are you talking to? They're controlling your money, they show up at your job. It's so much. Like, it's so much, you know?
And and you can't say that will never happen to me. Oh, that will
Yeah.
never be me. That
I
is
hear
that
people
is
say
the
that all the
wrong.
time.
And I tell them, you don't know. You don't know.
Hmm.
It's a weird situation. It's something that you cannot help. And when you're in it, you don't even realize that you're in it
You don't
until
really
somebody
you
else.
you don't realize you're in it until something like wild happens, like the first time, like they throw like a go into this rage and you're like, what? I was like, I'm living with a demon. I'm like, no
Mm,
way. I was like, no way, this could not be real. This could not be, like, you're seeing somebody and when you met them they were so nice and kind, and then it's like they turn and check, turn into, Hyde to Jekyll. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, who
Yeah.
is this person? And not saying that there wasn't red flags, because most of the time there were red flags and we walk right past them, but not all the time you see red flags. Like sometimes, like one day, they just out of the blue, they get crazy. They say something stupid. They get really angry, or they get weird or something. They get very jealous and they snap. And not all the time we see those red flags, because one day somebody can just like that, switch, and you're like,
Mm-hmm.
whoa, what is happening right now?
Yeah. What just happened?
Hmm.
Yeah. We have to, again, the best person to, to avoid, right? Or hopefully avoid things like that is, it's you. You're the only,
Hmm.
how can I put it? I don't want to say the right mental health because it has nothing to do with that, but the right mindset.
Right, the
And
right
you can only
focus.
do that. Yeah, the only way you can do that, you cannot avoid people acting irrational or crazy or whatever. You
Mhm.
cannot avoid not knowing that this person was that way, because you don't really know who you're marrying until you
Yeah,
start living together, right?
yeah.
I get that. Or who you're going to be living with or moving in with, if it's a boyfriend or a girlfriend, until you
Mm.
start living together. That's when you see the real person come out.
Right.
You cannot avoid that, but you can leave a situation like that because it's not going to get better. It was a one time thing. No, it wasn't. The
Hmm.
fact that this person
And they're
did
gonna
it means that
and
they're
they're gonna
comfortable.
apologize, Miss Nexie. Actually, they're gonna blame you. It's your fault. You did this. If you didn't do that, I wouldn't have reacted in a certain way.
Yeah, and I always tell people this when they say, "Oh, it was just a one time." No, it wasn't. The fact that he felt comfortable enough to do it that one time should be a red flag for you. Should be a red herring, because I can never be comfortable enough to attack anyone, to put my hands on anyone like that. I will never be comfortable enough because that's not me. So if this person got out of his, you know, comfort
Mhm.
shell or whatever, and he or she did this to you, it's not a one time occurrence. It's going to continue to happen. Maybe not often, but it will happen again,
It will
because nobody
happen
should be
again.
putting their hands on you. Nobody should be disrespectful, being disrespectful to you, not even with words.
Yeah.
The minute somebody calls you a name, believe it is going to happen again and again and again, and you're wrapped up, trapped in an abusive, verbal abusive relationship.
That's Miss Nexie. You stepped right into what I want to talk about right now. Verbal abuse, and yeah, we're talking about verbal abuse with our significant other, a person you're in a relationship with. But verbal abuse goes through all relationships. It
Hmm.
can be verbal abuse on the job. It could be verbal abuse with a friendship. It could be verbal abuse from your relative, from your children, from anybody, from social media. And I want to say that it doesn't matter when it's happening, and the verbal abuse can turn into bullying, can
Hmm.
turn into endangerment, can turn into I'm afraid for my life. There's levels, and it escalates, and it gets worse and worse if we don't cut it off. If we don't, sometimes you have to literally, Miss Nexie, move away.
Hmm.
It, like literally, you have to get away from these people, switch your location, because that's how much certain people have their claws in you to control you. So
Exactly.
you have to
Exactly.
protect yourself.
You have to, and again, and I'm telling you from experience, if you allowed verbal abuse to go on, it's not going to stop, and it's not going to get better. It's going to get worse. You know what
Exactly.
I mean? People that feel comfortable belittling you like that are not, because I wouldn't do that to anyone. I wouldn't go up to
Mhm.
you. I don't care how upset I am. I will never, ever belittle someone or disrespect someone like that. And I've been very upset at points. But if a person does that to you, it's not going to get better. It's going to get worse. And as time goes on and the more comfortable they feel, the worse it gets.
Exactly. The worse it will get. So, Miss Nexie, let's talk about another point here. In talking about how much control is too much. Now, let's talk about why it's important to have boundaries when it comes to trust and respect. If we do not build trust, safety, and respect, we will not be able to feel comfortable. Because if there's any relationship that we have and we don't feel like we can trust the person, or we feel like respect is gone, then we'll never feel comfortable. You'll never feel like I can tell you anything. I can depend on you. I can get support. So, having boundaries is important for us to protect ourselves. That when we feel like I can't trust you anymore, I can't depend on you, I can't respect
Hmm.
you. All of those are mechanisms. Is like the little, I'm trying to think of the word, but it's little triggers for us to be like, pay attention to that. Did you see that? Do you see that? And a lot of times,
Hmm.
maybe sometimes we don't see it, but if we have good people in our life, like good friends and loved ones, and they'll say, "Why are you? Why are you allowing that? Why do you let them
Yeah.
talk to you like that?" And that's when you have good people in your life that sometimes we don't see it, because when you get into relationships, sometimes, and it's not always romantic. It could be your sibling, it could be your own child, snapping at you, talking to you in a disrespectful manner. No, I don't care who it is. In all relationships, respect needs to be there.
Yes. Yes, respect does
Mhm.
need to be there.
Yeah.
And the person is not going to give you that. You have to ask for that. You have to
Mhm.
demand respect. And I always, even with my kids, I always say that, I always respect them, right? They're
Mhm.
whatever they have to say, whatever they have to, but it has to be both ways. And my kids are very respectful, because that's the way that I brought him up. But there's some people that I notice that they treat their parents like they're friends and disrespect them and call them names,
No.
obscene
Mhm.
names, horrible names in
Yep.
front of their parents. And I'm like, you get away with
Yep.
that? I wouldn't have teeth if I said that.
Miss Nexie, I have to interrupt you for a second. One thing that really triggers me is when people are in romantic relationships and they allow their spouse or significant other, boyfriend, girlfriend, whoever, they allow them to talk to their brothers or sisters or their parents or somebody in their life in a disrespectful manner. And it's like, and they make excuses for, oh, they're having a bad day, oh, they're out of work,
Mm,
or this, or they're always trying to protect them from the repercussions of their actions. Like, no, no,
I
that
don't care how bad of a day you
that's not
had.
okay. No, that's not okay.
Yeah, I don't care how bad of a day you had. You don't talk to my siblings like that. You don't talk to my sister.
Mm,
You don't talk to my brother like that. No, no. But again, we are the ones in that relationship. We are the ones that are supposed to address those issues. But
mhm.
I noticed too that a lot of people allow them to go on and on and on and on, and they they don't put a stop to it. Oh, you know how she is. Oh, you know how he is. Oh, blah, blah,
Mhm.
blah, whatever. It's
Yeah,
like, no.
they just the smooth over it. Oh,
Yeah,
they've been that way. Or they have an attitude problem. That there's always an excuse that they do to cover it up. But if we don't if we don't tell people, inform people, like, what you did, that was not cool. Like, we're not gonna
yeah,
take it. If you're gonna do that again, I'm not coming around you. Uh, we're not gonna deal with you anymore. We're gonna cut you off. You have to let people know what they're doing. It will not be accepted. You have to let people know,
exactly.
because if we don't, now this is the last point that I had, Miss Nexie, in talking about this topic, even though we can continue on. But I think it's important to talk about boundaries, because boundaries protects us from things that endanger our mental, physical, spiritual, emotional, and financial well-being. And this has to do with self-care. If we don't take
Hmm.
care of ourselves, like you said earlier, nobody is going to do that. So when we have those
Nope.
boundaries, we're going to protect ourselves from all of the things that I mentioned, mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, and financially. We will be thinking about ourselves.
It's true. It's
Hmm.
true. And that's the whole point, is the boundaries that you set. You have to make sure that you stick with them. You have to make sure that people follow them, because
Hmm.
placing boundaries but not following them, then nothing gets solved. Once you start
Right.
putting those boundaries around you to protect you, your mental health, your overall, and you stick to it, you see the changing people as well, because you're helping them understand that not everybody shows up in the middle of the night at anybody's home. I have a boundary. You don't come to my house without being announced. What's going to happen
We
is this
don't
person
ask.
from then on is going to call somebody else. Hey, are you available? Are you busy? Can I come over? So you're teaching them as well. It's a learning experience on both ends, depending on the boundaries that you have. But for me, I do it because I live a peaceful existence. I don't like drama. I don't condone it. I
Hmm.
don't do it. I don't like it. I don't like any of those. I don't like gossiping. I hate when people do that. I have family members that thrive on that, on gossiping about
Oh,
one another,
yeah.
talking behind somebody's back. She said this, he said that, blah, blah, blah. I don't do that. When I hear that, I get up and I leave,
Exactly.
because I don't like that. And by the way, when I came into my husband's family, I heard somebody came over and said, "Yeah, your so and so said that you said this about me," and I said, "I did. I haven't said anything. I don't even know you, like for me to say anything." So what I did, Miss Marlene, and I was young at that point. I was a young bride. I said,
Mhm.
everybody, my three sister-in-laws, my mother-in-law, and myself, we sat on a table. I invited them over for coffee to get to know each other. But the whole point that I was getting to that day is my boundaries, right?
Mhm.
I did not know that that's what I was doing. I
Okay.
learned it as I went through therapy, but I set him down and I said, look, I do not condone and I do not support and I do not thrive on gossip. I said, she said that you said that I said this. I said, I don't like this. When did I say that to you about her? I did not say that. Then the other one said, yes, you did. And I
Mhm.
was like, okay, I don't care. Enough of this. I said, if one day I have something to say to you, I'm going to go straight to you and say it straight to your face. I don't need a messenger. I never have had the need of a messenger. Second, I said, I don't like gossip. I don't, and I don't condone it. So from now on, we're going to leave this gossip here.
Yep.
It's going to die right here and then. From now on, moving forward, remember, if you have any questions, you come straight to me. I said, and you, stop bringing crap around me, because I don't like gossip. And
Hmm.
that kept the peace, Miss Marlene, because I was
Exactly.
never, they were all involved in it. Oh, you
Of
said this, you
course.
that. They were
And
always
they're
doing,
all covering up
I
for one another.
I'm
Hmm.
like, whatever, dude. But the respect was earned at that point. They knew that they
Yeah.
couldn't come to me with that. I knew that I go to their houses, we'll have a good time. Whatever they had to say about me, I didn't care. The fact that I wasn't involved in their gossip, that's all I care about. And my sister taught me that, not to be a gossiper. So
Exactly.
I don't like it. If I have something to say about you, I'm gonna go straight to you. I'm gonna tell you, or I'm
Right
gonna
to you.
ask you.
Right to you. Okay. Okay, Miss Nexty. So I know we went up, we went down, we went all the way around. So now we're back to the title of this again. How much control is too much? So when we look, first, let's talk about, I've seen people and they have their kids now and their kids are grown now. How much control is too much when your adult child now gets grown? For me, I feel like you should trust how you raised your child.
Yes.
And if you did the right work, then they're going to do what you need. You don't have to say or do anything. They're going to be like, that's my mom or my dad. That's my grandma. No, that's my auntie. That's my uncle. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I feel like there's a lot of things that you shouldn't have to get involved with. And I see a lot of mothers and fathers and grandmas, and they're doing too much. They're acting like children are still babies when they're adults,
They're
if
trying to
that makes
resolve their
sense.
problems, their
Yes.
troubles. For me, I have adult children. You know that, Miss Marlene.
Hmm.
I I only guide them if they request it from me.
Okay.
Mom, I have this problem. What do you think? Mom, I'm
Mhm.
going to do this. I have this idea. I want to do this and so that. You think it's a good idea? Or do you think it's not? That's the only time I get involved.
Okay.
If they ask me,
When they're asked, when you're asked. Okay.
yeah, when I'm asked.
Okay.
At 18, I knew I had, and not because I'm patting myself in the back. I'm not. I know my kids are not as perfect as I am, of course, but I know my kids are good kids. I had, they had as much as a good upbringing as I could give them.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Because I was a young mom, whatever. So I think I did a good job because my kids are hardworking. They're responsible adults.
Hmm.
They have their homes. They're married. They're good kids. They're not. They haven't given me any trouble to
Hmm.
say, "Oh my God, where is so and so?" I haven't. He's drunk somewhere or
Yeah.
he's using substances. I haven't gone through that. And I thank God
If you
every
don't have
day
that.
that my kids are good kids, that I don't have to deal with. I don't know where he is or she is. It's been 5 days and I don't know. Thank God I haven't gone through that. Okay.
Hmm.
So with my children, I let them go at 18, 19 for them to start making their own choices, right? And I
Hmm.
mean, I will say, now you have to do this. This is what, your life is now about. If you have any questions, come ask me. Or if you
Exactly.
need help, I'm always here at
I
your
like
beck and
that.
call. Just, all you got to do is I'm a phone call away. Other than that, you deal with your life, your married life. My son is married. I love my daughter in law. She's a beautiful, beautiful person. We live right now in the same household. But Marlene, they have their life, I have mine. There has
Hmm.
never been a disrespectful exchange between my
Yes.
daughter-in-law and I. There has never been me butting into their lives. My daughter-in-law
Exactly.
sometimes cooks and she'll come and say, "Hey, mother-in-law, I got some food. Go ahead and grab some. I know you haven't eaten, or if you haven't eaten, there's some food there." They
Exactly.
go out, they come back. I'm not questioning my son what they're
Hey, where you
doing.
going?
My
What you
daughter and
doing?
her husband. Yeah, my daughter and her husband, they lived here too because I always do that. I give them, save your money. Save your money. Stay here for, if you want, of course, stay here for a year or two. Save your money. And
Hmm.
then if you want to buy a house or if you guys going to go live in an apartment, at least you have money saved, right? Whatever it is
Exactly.
that you're going to do.
Mhm.
I always give them that option. It's up to them if they take it. And my daughter and her husband were here. I've never got involved in their affairs. That's between them. Whatever they did, whether I liked it or not, what was going on is between them. It has nothing to do with me. And my mother in law lived
Like
with me
that.
for 15 years, and not one disagreement between my mother in law and I. We were very close.
But
So, for
Miss Nexie, I think that implies mature people. Most of the time,
yes,
people who are controlling are unhealed. They have a lot of
yes.
anger. They have a lot of issues that they have never resolved. So that's what I think ultimately is at the underneath. When we talk about peeling the layers back about why people are jealous and
It,
controlling and manipulative, I think that's the underlying is because they have
it,
unresolved issues.
yes, they do. And let me tell you something, Miss Marlene. A lot of people criminal no, I shouldn't say criminalized, but I should say they think of therapy as a, are you crazy? Is
Yeah.
something wrong with you? Is that why you're going to therapy? Is your mom okay? Is she crazy or something? Is that why she has to
Mhm.
have, they diminish the potential, the help that going through
Yeah.
therapy does
But
on
how
you,
necessary it is.
how necessary it is. They
Mhm.
put it down so much that generation after generation have the same feeling about therapy. For
Mhm.
me, and I always tell people, I'm not going to be able to resolve an issue between my mother and I if I talk to my mother, because I'm her child. She's my mom. We already have tension. So I have to go outside so
Yes.
I can get the help I need to be able to talk to her or accept her for who she is. Okay?
Exactly.
So if I have a problem with my children, let's say I don't like something, it's bothering me, I talk to my therapist. What do you think? I work my issue with that person, because if my child and I are not in the same page, there must be a reason why.
Yeah. Sometimes
Even
there's some.
our children, Marlene, even our children need a break from us.
Yep.
And
They
I'm
need to
not
have
gonna
their
hold my
own.
daughter in
They need to
I'm
have
not
their
gonna hold
own
my daughter in
lives.
contempt. As the
Yeah.
judge that I am, I'm not gonna hold my daughter or my son in contempt if they don't want to talk to me, if they don't want to socialize with me, if they don't want to do things. I can't do that. That's their
Yeah.
lives. As much
And
as I
that's
want to
and that's
be,
gonna build a wall in between you
it's
and your children if you do that.
we all need breaks from family members. We all need breaks from parents. It has nothing, that doesn't mean they don't love you. That doesn't mean they don't care. That means we need a break from each other so we can desensitize, we can get our heads together, and then, we'll come back to a stronger family.
Exactly.
You cannot resent people if they don't want to be around you. As much as you want to resent them, as much as you want them around you, sometimes we need breaks so that we can grow as people.
Exactly. So I only have one more before we bring this to an end, and that's talking about controlling friendships. And let me tell you, Miss Nexley, I don't know if you have, but I'm just speaking for me. I've had friends that want to know everything about your life, like, oh, and who are you with, and like being jealous of the friends that you
Yes.
have, and oh, when did you meet them, and
Why
you
didn't you
went
tell
there
me?
without me,
Why didn't you tell me you
yeah,
were
why
going
didn't
to
you
meet
tell
her?
me? Why wasn't I invited? Like, dude, everything is not for you and
About you.
I have my own relationships with other people. And, I think it's important for when we talk about friendships for you to put boundaries from the beginning. Like, we're friends and everything, but I have individual relationships with people, and I need you to be okay with that.
Oh, let me tell you. Remember when I said I try not to make friends at work? I've
Hmm.
been burned. I was burned a
Oh.
few times by friends at work. I
Hmm.
lost a job one time because of a friend. But so I have acquaintances at work, right? I had a
Hmm.
friend back then when I believed in friendship at the workplace. Um, that every time I will talk to somebody else, she will be very upset.
Whoa.
Like, yeah, like, what were you talking to her about? Why did you tell me?
Ooh.
I'm your best friend. You can tell me everything. I said, yeah, we were just talking about, what were you guys talking about? Oh, we're talking about this. You didn't
Ooh.
tell me you were going through that. Why didn't I know that? And it's like, because she's going through a similar situation. So she told me, so I will find myself, Miss Marlene, explaining my friendship, right?
Mm-hmm.
So one time I was coming down with a group of people. They were important, partners
Hmm.
that we were working on something, and she said hi to me all animated, and I just passed by because these are serious people. I couldn't stop and say hi, whatever, right? So I just smiled and I kept on walking. Well, she didn't talk to me like for 4 days because I supposedly I ignored her when I was
Very
walking by.
mature. Very
Very
mature.
mature. So at that point, I started seeing how controlling, because I will find myself explaining things at work that I was like, if I was talking to another girl during coffee break, she will come in and say, "What? You guys started talking without me?" And it's like, do I need your word? Do I
Whoa.
need your mouth to start talking, or what? I have my own. So I I had to leave that job because it was becoming like we were in a relationship type of thing. Like, it was like I can do my own thing. Like, if I was gonna be late, why are you going to be late? Oh, I just got something to do. Well, you don't want to tell me? I'm your friend.
Wow.
Yeah. So you have to have boundaries, even in friendships. And people that love you and respect you, and how can I say, and actually want your friendship and appreciate your friendship, they're not going to step over those boundaries, right? I can have
Mhm.
conversation with five different people that has nothing to do with you, and I don't have to tell you, right? Because my topics with you are
Mhm.
different, and there's conversations I have with
And
you.
because you're mature enough, and you're mature enough to understand that it does not always have to be that you don't have to know everything when it comes
Yes,
to friendships. Yeah.
exactly, exactly. And I was finding myself having to explain, and then I started thinking like, she's trying to control everything I do. And if
Mhm.
I will go out to lunch earlier, and then I will be talking to someone, and where you want to go? I want to go here. Oh yeah, we're going there too. Why did you tell her we're going there? I wanted to talk to you by ourselves. And I was like, what the heck?
Wow.
Yeah, so I stopped, which is why, I've been burned so many times, Miss Marlene, that I say I don't have friendships at work. I have acquaintances, because that
Yep.
way you keep them at an arm's length, because you have to be
Yep.
professional.
I always, yeah, I always say I keep it professional. If it's not
And
about
and
work,
and I don't have any relationships with any of my coworkers. Like, there's no such thing as dating in
romantically.
the workplace. No dating in the workplace. That's another one of my boundaries. Nope.
Mhm. Yep. Nope. That's another no for me. So, Miss Nexie, this topic of talking about how much control is too much, I personally think it's just important, like from the beginning of every relationship, to number one, be honest with people.
Hmm.
Tell people what you expect. I think that's something that's lacking, that people don't put out there. I expect for you to do X, Y, and Z.
Hmm.
X, Y, and Z, whatever it is, and that's important. So, Miss Nexie, final words.
Okay. Well, for me, is how much control is too much control. I cannot. My motto is I can only control what I do, what I say, what I feel, right? What I put out to the world. So the only control I should have is on me. I cannot control those around me. I cannot tell you what to do, tell so and so what to do. I can only control my life. So I set my boundaries. I control me. Everything else is up to the individual. I cannot control everybody around me, because then you asphyxiate your friendships and your relationships with family members and children. So the only control you gotta have is on you. That's it. Nobody else.
That's it.
Can't control nobody else.
Yep.
That's all. That's all I
You
had to
got.
say, Miss Marlene.
That's it.
Thank you for
Great
having me.
topic.
Yes, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Great topic.
Miss Nexie, next week is going to be episode number 50.
Oh my God. And the big reveal
Yeah.
is going to happen in 52.
The 50 will be next week, the week after 51. So it's 3 weeks before
Oh,
the 1 year anniversary. Like, can you tell I'm excited? I'm
not at
thinking of
all.
doing something special, like making a mixed drink, or doing something like, I don't know, fixing my hair really nice, putting, maybe I'll wear a ballroom gown. I'm
And
extra.
how about like taking the little thing that Miss Nexie put so she doesn't show her face, taking that out and revealing Miss Nexie? Is that what you want, Miss Marlene?
That's what I really want. Don't play, Miss Nexie. That's what I want.
Well, I'm sweating it out, because in 3 weeks I have to do it. I have to be. It has to be our big ta-da, and everybody's gonna run. I'm not following those two anymore.
No, they're not. They're gonna be like, everybody's gonna be like, oh my god. So I'm gonna put it out there. I'm gonna put on the thumbnail, Miss Nexie, and put like a over your face and blur it out with a question mark.
Miss Nexie, the big reveal.
The
Everybody's gonna
big
be like, da da
reveal
da
of Miss
da.
Nexie.
You're so funny.
The mystery
Well,
has ended.
Wait. So what are we talking about next week?
I
What did we say we
don't
were talking about?
know.
Yes, you said it. Remember, you took it
I
down.
think I have it down. If I have it, it's in this notebook. So I'll set up
Yes,
that
because you wrote
right.
it down. You
Hmm.
wrote it down last week, and you said, "Oh, Miss Nexie, next week is this, and the following week we're going to talk about this other thing." I just don't remember. I have to go back and
I
look.
just don't
Go back to
remember.
last week's. Yeah, go back to last
Yeah,
week's.
I'll go back
I'll go back.
and go and
Jinx.
look through it and everything.
We said
But
it at the
great light.
great minds work alike. Well, Miss Marlene, thank you for having me. And I'm sorry about the background noise. Somebody's very extra happy today because he's back home. And
That's all
I
good.
don't know, he's something. He said he's clapping about something. So I'm sorry about the big noise in the
Well,
background.
guess what, Miss Nexie? I heard nothing. I heard zero. So it's all good. Yeah, it's all good. So thank you guys so much.
And thanks everybody for coming over. Thank you so much for all your support. Love you, Miss Marlene.
Love you more. And shout out to
Bye.
everybody who tuned in. If you're new here, hit the like, subscribe, do all of those YouTube things. And we'll see you back next week for episode number 50. I'm Marlene of Love Marlene 411, where we talk about all love things. And I thank you for choosing to spend time with me and Miss Nexty. Bye, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Bye.